Do you love VR? Are you playing it for hours and hours each and every day? Like with some people, I don't do that. I don't. Okay, yeah, I do. Or do you just play it occasionally? But you don't understand why other people find it so cool and really want to be in it all the time. Not me. I don't do that. I'm just in it a little bit at a time. Yeah. Nah, I'm in it all the time. Or have you never tried VR at all? You have no idea what the fuss is all about. You don't buy the hype. You're not even sure whether you should try it yourself or not. Well, no matter what, this video is going to be of interest to you. I'm Jolly Julian, and I want to spread the joy of VR to each and every one of you. That makes me sound like a virus. That's disgusting, but you know what I mean. Let's virtual our reality. Okay, I'm a little calmer now. Sorry if that was a little bit too intense. I get excited when I'm talking about virtual reality, and regardless of the degree to which you like virtual reality, we should discuss what you would most like to see to make virtual reality experiences better. So we're going to stay focused on the games and the experiences and not the hardware. We'll talk hardware in another video for sure, because there will be things that we all want in future headsets, but right now I want to focus on the games and the experiences and what each of you would most like to see to make the games and experiences that much better for you and for others. Number one is length of game. How long does the game have to be in order for you to truly enjoy it? Now, I have my own opinion on this. Length of game is not that high on my list. Now, replayability can be, and that's a different thing sometimes, but just length of game isn't the most important thing. I'm all about quality over quantity. If it's a great experience and it's an experience that only takes a couple of hours to play, do I feel it was worth 15, 20, 30 bucks? Yes, I absolutely do. If I had a great time during that 2 or 3 hours, it was well worth it. But some people want those games to be really long. They want them to be games that they can sink 50 or 100 or 200 hours in and really get immersed in that world. And with virtual reality, that is a huge thing. So how important to you is length of game in making quality games going forward? A wonderful example of that just came out recently, and that's Asgard's Wrath 2 on the Quest 2 and Quest 3 headsets. A game that boasts being anywhere from 60 to 130 or more hours in length. That's a AAA length game, right? So, and I've played some of it already, and I think the experience is fantastic. It really is. And it is something that I could see myself returning to and playing for hours and hours on end. But again, for me, it's quality over quantity, so it's going to be more about the quality of the experience than how long I can keep playing. That brings us to number 2, which is one of the first quality things I think overall when we're talking quality, and that is the quality of the images. How important is really high fidelity, really high resolution, realistic graphics, and things like that to you? This doesn't matter what's important to me, it matters what's important to you. But I think what we're going to start to see here is that everybody's going to be different, which makes it really challenging for designers to make really high quality games, because no two people are going to necessarily agree 100% on what's most important. But let's talk quality of game. Now, the quality of those visuals can be really powerful if you're doing things like horror experiences or fantasy experiences where an entire world is unfolding in front of you, and the more either realistic or high resolution or vibrant that world is, the more you're engaged in it. And I can totally understand that. Some of my favorite experiences in virtual reality, ones that come to mind immediately, are things like Subnautica, which I've been able to play in virtual reality, or even Alien Isolation, which is not a VR game, but a wonderful port was made that make you be able to play it fully in virtual reality. Those have incredible graphics and create a world that really pulls you in and feels seamless and vast, right? Or things like Skyrim. We all know the world of Skyrim, at least we've heard about it, right? This incredible, huge, kind of almost completely open world where you can ride horses and go all over the place and experience all these different characters and creatures and so forth. All of those experiences, the more graphically impressive and realistic they are on whatever level they can be, the more immersed I feel in them. However, I've also had experiences that have very low graphical fidelity that I enjoyed thoroughly. You've heard me talk about Walkabout Mini Golf many times. Graphically, not that impressive of a game, although what they do with the graphics they have is incredibly impressive. I don't want to take anything away from the designers. They're doing magic in that game. But I'm not going to talk about that one more here. Let me give you another couple of examples. Rec Room is a very popular game for a lot of people. I played it quite a bit a while ago. I haven't played it as much recently, but the graphics in Rec Room, very simple. But the gameplay is so cool, and the worlds that they create in there are so cool. So for me, how important is graphical fidelity? It depends on the experience, so I wouldn't say it's that high on my list, but it's not ever a negative as long as the game runs well, and we'll get to that in another key point. Actually, we're going to get to that key point right now because that's the next thing. Latency and frame rate. How well does the game run? Now, this one is high on my list, personally. The game's got to run well. If it's stuttering or when I turn my head, it's doing this and being all jerky, that'll get me out of the experience immediately. That is incredibly immersion breaking. So that one is really high on my list. It's got to be very low latency. You know, when I do something with my controller, I want to see it happening in real time without any delay. Especially if you're doing anything like first-person shooters or archery games or anything like that where timing is so important. But then also the frame rate itself has got to be good, so that it's not being jerky, it's not, making you, that can make a lot of people sick in virtual reality, and it just takes away from the experience. So this one's very high on my list. How high is it on your list? Frame rate and latency, how important are those to you? The next thing is what I've heard a lot of people call the game loop, or what is the experience itself? Is the game itself fun to play? Is it challenging? Do you enjoy the experience of figuring out the game or playing the game itself? Or if it's an experience, is that experience you just walk around and you just stop whenever you want? Or is it giving you a reason to keep walking around, to keep exploring, to keep doing different things? Game loop is another one that's very important to me. If the game loop is good and really sucks me in, some of these other things don't matter nearly as much, certainly not fidelity and stuff like that. Some great examples of this for me personally are things like the game Demio. It's basically a tabletop game you're playing in virtual reality with friends or by yourself, and you're moving the characters on the board, but the gameplay is so fun. It's so unique. It just pulls you in, and every time I play the game, it's different. It's never the same game twice. That makes it definitely a great game loop for me. Another one is Among Us in VR. Many of you probably have played Among Us on flat screen, on a computer, or on a mobile device. Well, in virtual reality, it takes on a whole nother level. But the gameplay loop of that, of playing with friends and suspecting each other and calling each other out, you're sus, no, you're sus, that is so much fun. The game loop, and it's different every single time you play it, depending on who you're playing it with. Great choice, Among Us. And another great one is something like Green Hell or The Forest, which are, survival games, and the gameplay is so unique and so encompassing and so immersive because you're trying to survive. That's the whole point, is survive by having to protect yourself from predators and build different tools and weapons and so forth. So things like that keep you coming back. The gameplay is so important. So much so that sometimes those experiences can be in very low-level graphics, even in virtual reality, and it doesn't matter because the gameplay loop is so powerful. How important is gameplay loop to you? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me, right? Have you played a game where you were surprised that the graphics weren't that great, but the gameplay just kept pulling you back in? I tried to get out, but they just pulled me back in. It's Godfather 3, but anyway. And last but not least, at least on my list here, it certainly is not least. I think I saved the biggest one for last. Immersion. How immersed I feel in the world. Now, all of the previous things that we talked about here impact that. They really do. They all kind of come together to create an immersive feeling. A great example of this for me is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Whether you play it on your Quest or if you play it on a PC, it is incredibly immersive. The world they created, the actions that you're taking, the things that you're physically doing with your controllers and with your hands, the sound design, the graphics, which are not, completely photorealistic and the best graphics in the world, but it just pulls you in and makes you feel immersed in the world of a zombie apocalypse in The Walking Dead. That's so important to the enjoyment, which is why I go back to that game time and time again. I'm completely immersed. I'm suspecting Asgard's Wrath 2 is going to be like that as I continue to play that. Assassin's Creed Nexus. I've talked before about, of course, Half-Life Alyx, which is a gold standard there. Now that one, the immersion is fantastic. That's my favorite thing about that game, is I feel so immersed. The gameplay loop overall is a little too easy and a little too repetitive in places for my taste. But it is a phenomenally immersive game, which is why I've played all the way through it twice, and I don't play single-player games more than once very often at all. So let's talk about how game developers and so forth can make these experiences even better. They've got to focus on all of these things, and in a perfect world, they get all of them right. That is such a Herculean and difficult thing to do, especially on any sort of a budget. So hopefully you all have the respect and understanding of what goes into the creation of a game when you realize that each one of these things needs to be checked off, because different people are going to have different hierarchy of what's important to them in a AAA virtual reality game. Now, if I missed anything in this video, let me know in the comment below. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. And I hope you'll subscribe to this channel if you're getting any value out of it at all. And make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're notified when a new one of my videos comes up. I'm trying to do a video a week here. Sometimes I might even do a little bit more if I do a short one here or there. So I hope you'll want to be notified. That'll tell me you had a good time today. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. Let me know how I can make my experience better for you too. Was it not immersive enough? Are my graphics not good enough? Do I look pixelated? Is the game loop not good? I don't know. I don't think I have a game loop here, but maybe I do, and maybe you'll find it and you'll let me know in the comment below. Anyway, have a great one. I hope you continue VRing. Spread VR like a virus. Well, not like a virus. Something good. Spread it like a wildfire. No, not wildfire. Spread it like joy. Jolly Julian. Out of here.